out. It's former Republican Congressman from the great state of Utah, Jason Chaffetz, who is now a Fox News contributor. Good morning back.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You just returned from Hawaii.
Hawaii's great. I've heard. You can ask me anything.
Better than Washington, better than the swamp.
Oh my gosh, I love Hawaii.
All right, let's talk about North Korea, because the leader of North Korea, Kim, is now threatening to fire off more nuclear weapons.
Hey, look, we've got to take this very seriously. I was in South Korea and Japan this past spring. Admiral Harris, who runs Pacific Command out of Hawaii, when I visited with him, he said, look, at any moment, we have to be ready to deal with this threat. It is the most serious threat. I give a lot of credit to the Trump administration for their foreign policy and the position they've taken. Nikki Haley did a fabulous job getting a 15-0 a win at the United Nations.
That never happens.
No, she's done a fabulous job in twisting arms. Last night, Dana Perino asked her, how many arms did you twist? She's like, all of them.
She said it hadn't been easy. Listen to what she said earlier about that.
You know, I think Saturday was a huge win for the United States. It was a huge win for the United Nations. It was not a good day for North Korea. And basically what you saw was all the countries come together and say, this has got to stop. This is not something that we think can be reckless and just casually dealt with, and that's what he's done. And I think they hit him, and basically we hit him hard. It was really me saying, how many more ICBM tests do we need to have before we do something?
Good.
And at what point are we going to show action? And really, that goes back to what we've tried to do at the United Nations, which is stop talking about it. Let's get something done. And so last Monday, I basically told the Security Council, we've talked enough. It's time to get this done.
All right. Meanwhile, the President of the United States, Mr. Chaffetz, just a couple of minutes ago tweeted out this. After many years of failure, countries are coming together to finally address the dangers posed by North Korea. We must be tough and decisive. And when you look at North Korea saying we're going to mobilize all resources, we're going to take physical action, we know they've got long-range missiles, we've got to be worried that they're going to do something stupid.
I think the president's done a tremendous job on this, but also listen to what Nikki Haley said. She said, this alone won't solve the problem. You have to have the biggest, baddest military on the face of the planet, and the United States does, and we got to be prepared to use it, unfortunately, in conjunction with South Korea, with Japan, and put pressure on China. But if we have to spring into action, we've got to be able to take that whole thing down. Hopefully that never happens, but we've got to be able to have the ability to do that.
Remember, we've been sending as a signal back bombers across the peninsula.
Yes.
We have also been sending out, showing our own missile defense in action. And it makes you wonder how much more potent our missile defense would be if President Obama didn't shelve it for 6 or 7 years prior to that. Now we're in a breakneck pace, almost a Manhattan Project-like pace, to protect the west coast of the country.
The THAAD system that was deployed into South Korea, what we're doing in Guam and expanding and making sure we got missile defense there, what Hawaii is doing in its preparation, the fact that more than the majority of our naval forces are now in the Pacific Ocean, they're taking care of this in a very serious way.
And China can't be happy about this. They don't want our presence there at all. Now there's a reason for our presence there.
I think both China and Russia, who share borders with North Korea, understand how seriously we're taking this. But when they keep doing these tests, and you've got a crazy man leading up in North Korea, you've got to be able to do it. And I think everything I can see, President Trump is making the right moves, and the world is gathering behind it, I think, and understanding that.
And when guys like Ambassador Michael McFaul of the Obama administration come out and say, I'm really impressed with what just happened over the weekend, you know it's significant.
He hired the right people and put the senior-most military people in place. They have decades of experience, from the Chief of Staff to the Secretary of Defense to the Secretary of State. We have the A-team on it.
Well, part of the A-team is the Attorney General of the United States, and yesterday the Attorney General got sued by Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, because they said that the Department of Justice cannot withhold these federal grants. Brian talked to a retired police officer by the name of Pete Kokonis a little while ago, and he made it very clear what Rahm Emanuel is doing is it's just bare-knuckled politics. Listen to this.
This is all a political ploy. He needs the votes. So in the late 90s, working at the Clinton White House, he advocated being tough on immigrants and deporting them. Now all of a sudden his story changed. It's votes. He needs to get reelected. He closed schools. He reduced the amount of police on the department. He needs votes. And who's going to vote for him? He's hoping these immigrants will vote for him.
Okay, so Congressman, politics has been your business for a very long time. Explain the politics for Rahm Emanuel, why being a sanctuary city is good for his business.
Well, look, Rahm Emanuel used to be chief of staff to President Obama. Under President Obama, they released more than 80,000 criminal aliens. These are people that were here in the United States illegally, committed a crime, were caught, were convicted, and instead of deporting them, he released them back out of the United States. So Donald Trump is on the right side of this issue. And as long as Democrats keep prioritizing non-Americans over Americans, they will lose the political argument. But more importantly, they make the country less safe. We're talking about people who are here illegally, commit a crime, and what we're asking for is ICE should be given a 48-hour notice so they could come grab this person if they're trying to detain them and deport them. And the city of Chicago is saying, no, we wouldn't want to do that. We don't want to let ICE do its
Politics.
job. Yeah, what if there was a bank robbery and the FBI said, you know what, I'm not coming because, well, we just don't like you.
Right.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
But this is not part of the better deal. I mean, what's the better deal is supposed to be an economic revival for the Democrats to have a cohesive message. It's not taking the side of illegal immigrants for political purposes. Not that Democrats need your advice necessarily. This doesn't seem productive.
Well, look you have more than 1,000 people shot in Chicago. In the first 4 or 5 months of the year, more than 100 people shot over the 4th of July weekend itself. Now, I'm not saying those are all criminal aliens or people that are here illegally.
But it's money they could be using to help solve that problem.
That's right. And we're trying to target people that are the criminal alien
What's going to happen?
element.
What's going to happen in the fall when Congress gets this and they have to decide how the money is spent when they take on the budget? Because we had the judge on earlier, and he was saying they can put strings attached to this, saying if you're not going to comply, you're not going to get the federal money. He's saying right now Rahm Emanuel has a case because it was under President Obama's administration, and those were the strings attached then, and so you can't change that law. But Congress can change it in the fall. Will they be able to implement this?
Well, I think the biggest gauntlet that the Republicans have to deal with in the House and the Senate is actually September, because you have the border wall, you have the debt ceiling. There's not a Republican on the planet that wants to raise the debt ceiling, and when you fail on health care, and you're on vacation right now.
We're not very confident in the Congress right now.
And you've got to pass a budget, and then you've also got to put this in place.
Reform.
Oh, yeah, a little thing called tax reform. I mean, I cannot believe the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell in July went before the American people and said, there's so much on our plate, we're going to stay into August and work, only to pull that back, too. They're supposed to be in session this week, but they're not.
After they failed.
After they failed.
What a reaction to failure.
Congress, your former job, they look bad, particularly the Senate.
Hey,
That's hard for you to say.
Look, I didn't leave Congress because I was tired of winning.
No, I know. You know, also on Friday, the Attorney General came out and said we're going to crack down on leaks.
Yeah.
Because obviously there have been a number of people, perhaps inside government, we don't know at what level, or the intel community, who have been leaking stuff to make this administration look bad. You say, at least you told one of our producers, they're not going far enough.
No, they need to start putting people in handcuffs. And look, I think the Deputy Attorney General, he has no credibility on this. He's doing a press conference. But let's go. Most people don't understand this. There's 72 inspectors general that have 13,000 employees. There are 500 inspectors general at just the Department of Justice. Report after report after report. When I was chairing the Oversight Committee, we actually read these reports, making criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, and they don't prosecute these people. So we could sit here all day long and look at people in the past, federal employees, who've already violated the law that have been documented by the Inspector General, go put them in handcuffs, and then we'll actually see a difference, and then they'll get some credibility.
Front page of the New York Times today, another leak. The New York Times got a hold of the climate change plan that was given to Pruitt. And they said were concerned that it was going to be suppressed by the Trump administration, so they put it in the New York Times.
Look, the deep state does not like the fact that Donald Trump is trying to change the trajectory of the federal government in a place that is more compatible with what the American people want. That's what they don't understand. That's why Republicans were so successful. You even have the governor of West Virginia switching parties. And the liberals, their minds are exploding.
Thank you very much. You're the plug machine. We've actually got the governor of the great state.
I want to shake his hand. He's a brave person stepping up.
And you're going to be sticking around. You're going to be on Outnumbered today at noon.
Yes. Yeah, that's a fun show.
But before, you're doing my radio show. Oh, yeah. Come on. All of a sudden, you forgot how to plug things.
Oh, yeah.
I
Forgot about
that's
that.
right. Somebody put that on my schedule. I don't know.
All right. Congressman, thank you very much for
Thank
joining.
you.
All right. It is.